Hi, this is video number 196. Going to be leaving here in about an hour and a half or so to go to that assembly for the next few days. Thought I would come up here and do an email, or a video rather, I got one email and one Facebook message. Yeah, the assembly last year, my beard was kind of long and like some people said something about it, so see what happens this year. It's a lot longer this year, so we'll see how that goes. It's going to be interesting to talk to a few people and see what their reaction is. Okay, I'll talk first about the email here, and then I'll do the Facebook message. Okay, the email: Hi Don, hope this finds you well. I know you're going out of town for a few days, so don't expect to hear back on this for a bit. Excuse me. I'm having a horrific time getting up out of bed in the morning. Unless I have a morning appointment, I simply cannot force myself to get up, and then I stay in bed for hours, tossing and turning with negative looping thoughts. This seems to be getting worse as time passes, and it frightens me. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences in withdrawal, waking up, and what you did in the mornings and afternoons to pass the time? I know you said you had a routine, as I do, to help pass the time. I am curious about that. I know you said you had tea and toast at 3. I have a similar ritual at 4:30. And you did latch hooking. I'm trying to find a craft to learn, but I'm too agitated and terrified to take a class. I've been watching YouTube to see if I can learn something from that. Bottom line for me is that everything seems pointless and scary all day, every day. It is so difficult to put my feet on the bedroom floor and suit up for another day. Day after day after day. Thank you for your videos. I listen to them every day when I walk. I think you are the Mr. Rogers of benzo withdrawal and recovery. Okay, Mr. Rogers, that's a first. I never heard that. Yeah, I never heard that. Mr. Rogers with a beard. Okay, let me see. The mornings, okay. The mornings were very, very hard. In most of my withdrawal, the mornings were absolutely was the hardest part of the day. No part of the day was easy, but mornings were very, very bad. I'm in the bedroom here, and the laptop is on. I would wake up in the morning, and it was just, getting out of bed was, I would wake up, and at first, the first probably maybe a minute, probably not even a minute, I would feel like maybe today I'm going to feel a little better. I feel okay right now, but then after 45 seconds or so, it would all come rushing in on me again. The looping thoughts, the terror of meeting another day. It would flood in on me. It was just so weird. It was horrible. And I would lay in bed on mornings that my wife worked. I would force myself to get out of bed, see her off to work. Okay, and sort of like pretend like I was going to get up. And then I would come back up here and I would get under the cover. I would pull the covers over my head. And I almost never fell back asleep. I would try very hard to. And I would pull the covers over my head like in fear. I was just afraid of nothing and everything. It was just it was horrible. And I would do that. And then I would feel guilt because like I would look at the clock like, well, it's getting to be so and so. And I would think like, I'd almost feel like I was losing. It was like I was throwing in the towel. It's like, come on, you got to get out of bed, Don. You got to do this. You got to meet the day. And then eventually I would get up and go downstairs. And that mornings that she was here, which was most mornings, I would lie in bed. And she would always come up at some point and she would open the blinds and she would throw the covers off me and say, okay, time to get up. And she wasn't trying to be mean. And I would get up. I would get up. She would leave the room. I would get up. I would actually make the bed. Making the bed was torture. That was absolute torture. And I would be just in terror. Like getting my feet on the floor was very, very hard. And I would be in terror making the bed, thinking like, what am I going to do? I have to go downstairs and I have to whatever. Like, what am I going to do today? Although I did the same thing every day. So anyway, that's how it was when I would get up, and then I would go downstairs for the longest time, I quit drinking coffee. I didn't drink decaf, but I always wanted something. I would actually run water through the coffee maker with no coffee or anything. I would drink hot water like it was disgusting. It tasted horrible. But I would do that because I was afraid to drink anything that might have any caffeine in it whatsoever. So I would sit there with my cup of hot water and I would read Our Daily Bread. It's a little devotional. And I would circle good words in it. I wrote about this in my book. Like words like love, peace, joy, comfort, anything that could possibly be construed as being good. I would circle those, I would underline. Sometimes I would write in the margins. And as I got better, I would go back and look at those and see, like, they were kind of like hope markers for me. I could look back now and see, oh, that helped me get through. That's how I got through. That's part of what got me through. I would do that for a while. Then, we were still getting the newspaper then. I could actually do the puzzles in the paper, like the cryptoquote, a Sudoku, a jumble word search. The cryptoquote was the hardest. I could usually get it. A lot of times, like after I was done sitting in my chair doing all of what I just explained, I would come upstairs, and if I couldn't get the cryptoquote, I would actually write it down on a piece of paper, and upstairs I would pace back and forth, and I would just look at this cryptoquote trying to figure it out. And I actually did, I think I got every one, maybe but one. There might have been one I didn't get. But I would have panic attacks like, oh, I got to do this. I can't. Trying to force my brain to use logic and whatever you use in cryptoquotes, I don't know. But I could actually do the puzzles. But to me, it was more like I have to do these just to prove to myself I still have that ability. It's still in there. I haven't lost that yet. Although it was incredibly difficult to access in the mornings and all day really. Other things that I did that required cognition were just balancing the checkbook, writing checks. I wrote many checks for the wrong amount of money. Balancing the checkbook was almost impossible. I would cry. I would have panic attacks. Anything that required anything like that, I couldn't. It was very, very difficult. Let me see what else. Okay, then after I was done, like the pacing just from the cryptoquote and that, I'd go over in the room across the hallway. We had a tower computer then, and I would sit there, and the first forum was benzowithdrawal.com, and I would spend hours sitting there just trying to find things, at first it was like there was validation there, so that it was good for validation, but as time went on, there were more and more bizarre posts and frightening posts, really. That site went down. I made it to Benzo Buddies. Same thing. It wasn't too long after I started on Benzo Buddies that I started to notice some improvement, but I would sit for hours and just read on these things. And when there was nothing new posted, I would sit there and anything to pass time. I remember I took the binding out of a notebook. It was plastic coated wire. I sat there for hours and would just try to straighten it out. I mean, mindless stuff like that. When mornings that were really, really bad, I would sit. There's a clock on the wall. I had a second hand. I would just try to live one more second. I would watch the second hand go around the clock. And I get to the end. I say, okay, I made another minute. Let's try for the next one. Sad way, I know, but you got to get through time. That's what this is about, because time is the healer right now. Okay, anyway, I do that. Sometimes I would do latch hooking in the morning, depending on, mostly when the mornings that my wife was at work, I would do latch hooking, and I would sit on the sofa in the living room, and I would turn the jazz station on. It was barely audible because my sounds just drove me crazy, loud sounds. I would pretend like somebody was there with me, and I would just do this latch hooking, like little pieces of yarn, one after the other, just boom, boom, boom. It was mindless, just completely mindless. I didn't feel good, but it got me through time. That was the key for me. Just get through time, stay alive till the evening when you go back to bed. So the latch hook, actually, years ago I had latch hooked some. I was really fast back then, but I remember when it was one of my therapists. This was the one that I had when I got out of the hospital. She and my wife agreed, yes, Don should do some latch hooking. He should take that up again. Although I insisted that I couldn't do it, and I got really, really angry when my wife went out and actually bought me a kit, a latch hook kit. I think it was 2 dogs on it, or a dog and a cat or something, I don't know. It was a very small one, and I couldn't remember for the life of me how to do it. I remember getting the instructions out, and it took me a long time just to figure out, and my hands were shaking, and then for a long time I did it a certain way. It was very, very slow. And then I remember one day after I had done latch hooking for quite some time, just out of nowhere, my brain kicked in and started doing it the old way. It was a different way. It was very strange. I remember that moment, like thinking, like, I'm going really fast. I'm doing it a different way, a completely different way. So that was kind of cool. But I did a lot of latch hooking, especially like later in the day. I would do more like toward evening. I would have something on the television. I would just sit there and latch hook. I couldn't pay attention to the television, but it was on very, very low. Okay, once I made it to lunch, I thought, okay, I'm gonna make it through the day. You know, lunch was almost always oatmeal with peanut butter and raisins and vanilla and some other things. It was always the same. A banana, I would smash a banana up and put in there. And after 2 years of eating oatmeal, I got sick of it, but that's almost all that I ate at lunch. Sunday, sometimes I would have popcorn. On the days that we would go visit my daughter for lunch, I would have a salad, a certain kind of salad there. But I was very, very regimented in what I ate at lunchtime. In the evening, my wife made a variety of meals, very healthy kinds of meals. So that was good. And as far as diet, like at night, I would have one of the strange things. Sometimes if I would be downstairs later, like around 10 o'clock or so, for a few months, I would come up and eat almonds. I did a bunch of almonds. But a lot of nights I had frozen yogurt and ice cream. And that was nice because it was nice and smooth. So anyway, in the afternoons, after I had lunch, and I knew like, okay, I'm going to make it, I would pace again. I would go up and look on Benzo Buddies some more and just kind of hang around there. And then at 3 o'clock, I had like the toast and the tea, the iced tea. And then I would read my success stories then too. Every day I had this pack of success stories, and I would write notes in those, and I would read them like in the same order, like every single day. I memorized a lot of them. But I remember one day I had them on the arm of the chair and they fell off and they got out of order. I was freaking out, I had a panic attack because my stories were out of order. Everything was so ritualistic for me. So I would read those, and then I would try most of the time to maybe fall asleep in the chair, knowing that when I woke up I would be in absolute terror. I always was, every single time. But getting even a little sleep. There was a period where I didn't even try to sleep because the terror when I woke up was just so great. I thought, I can't bear that. So anyway, I'd take a nap if I could, and it was usually only for a few minutes because I would wake up in terror, and then that was it. In the spring and summer, I would go outside and water the flowers after the nap. And I'd be kind of shaking at first because I had just woke up from the terror. And we had, that year we had that particular year, impatiens. It was the last year the impatiens were really good. They got some kind of rust virus or something after that year, but they were huge. They were absolutely huge. And I would go out like every day in the afternoon and water them. And that would take me like an hour because we had a lot of them in the yard. Okay, after that, then it would be a little bit of time yet, short time. We would have dinner. Okay, and I would have dinner with my wife. And after dinner, I would dry the dishes and put them away. Then after that, I'd go upstairs, put on like my sweatpants and shirt, go downstairs usually, get the latch hook out, turn the television on, and I would do that the rest of the evening. That's pretty much the way my days were. Very, very regimented, very little change from day to day. Once I started feeling well, and everything did seem pointless. Like the latch hooks, a lot of those rugs and wall hangings I did give away, and I made them like for a pregnancy center in the area. I made some. I knew it was a good thing, but I didn't feel good about it. I just felt crummy. So that's pretty much the way my days were. But when I would get to the evening and I would do the latch hooking, and at the very end of the day, usually right around 10 o'clock, I would sit in my easy chair and I would mentally prepare myself for the next day. I've talked about this a little bit before. And I would try to have no expectation, put myself in, like, it's kind of like acceptance, have no expectation. Tomorrow isn't, I don't know if it's going to be either good or bad. I don't know. Chances are it's not going to be good again, but it could be. But I don't know that it's going to be bad. I would just like my goal for the next day. I'm mentally preparing myself so that tomorrow night at this time, I'm sitting here and I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. And that, I mean, that sounds sad, I know, but it did work for me. That worked. That did work. I'm alive. I'm well. It's amazing. So that's kind of how my days were. Anything I could do to get through time. I did walk. I would sometimes take long walks. That was earlier in my withdrawal because my akathisia was so bad. I was incredibly restless, and I would go out and walk, and it was terrifying. I had this one walk I would always walk, my 66-minute walk, and I was in terror the whole time. But yeah, the funny thing about that walk, I remember one time being stopped by a guy. He was asking directions, and I actually told him the right directions. I was freaking out the whole time inside, but I actually did tell him the right directions. It's funny because like when he left, and I knew, like, yeah, I told him the right directions, and I was down on myself but it was so hard. I should not feel that way. So I focused on how bad I was feeling instead of like, well, I actually did it. I was able to do it. And a lot of times on that particular walk, I would wave to people. I know they thought I was insane. The old guy walking that like waves to everyone. I did that to show that like I could do it, that I'm not afraid, that I'm not. But it was pretty weird. That was pretty weird. I actually did that. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. Sometimes we'll walk that walk, but I don't want to appear weird. So that's kind of the way my days were. Very, very, very much that way. Okay, the Facebook message. I'm about 18 minutes here. Okay, the Facebook message this morning. See, do I want to do this, or I could save this one until another time. Let me see, what else can I tell you to add a little more time to this? I want to kind of wait to do the Facebook message on the next video. It's more of a spiritual thing. It's more of a spiritual thing. It has to do with a song that somebody was they accidentally came upon this song, and they were asking me if I ever heard it. It actually is one of the songs that I listened to in much of my withdrawal, and there were two songs that I would listen to, and they always brought me to tears. I would always sob, but I don't want to. I don't have enough time right now to talk about them. Let me see, what else can I talk about here about my day? See if I can remember other things that I still would. I would still shovel snow in the wintertime during my withdrawal, very, very hard. I remember going out one night and doing it it was like midnight or something. I had fallen asleep. I woke up. I was on Seroquel then, and I was super restless from that. Like I had that like restless body thing going on. And I remember I had to go out and shovel, and there was a good bit of snow out that night. So I went out and shoveled like at midnight. I did that. But the Seroquel that I took like made me really wonky and weird. And it did kind of, I slept sort of, but it made me mostly restless. It really increased the akathisia a lot. It doesn't do that to everybody. It's an antipsychotic, and antipsychotics can do that to some people. So it did it to me. I was only on it for like a month, I think. I think I got up to like 400 milligrams or something, which is too much. But Seroquel was the last drug my psychiatrist gave me. And after that, after I said I can't do this anymore, she released me from her care. That's when she released me from her care. But I guess she thought she was giving me care. I don't know. I mean, what does a psychiatrist? They are trained to prescribe drugs based on symptoms. And everybody comes in like with anxiety, depression, different sorts of symptoms. And they only have like so many different kinds of pills they can give you. So their job is, I wouldn't want that job. I wonder if they know, if they follow up people that like quit coming, if they think they got well, or they I don't know. Because I'm sure some of them like don't, I mean, they don't make it. They just kind of off themselves and that's it. If I were a psychiatrist, I would really, 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 especially since I've been through this, want to know every single person I prescribe pills to, and what's going on with them, because I know things can go bad very, very rapidly. So yeah, that was about when she released me from her care. See what else during my days in the summer and spring, I would mow. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. The noise from the mower. There was our neighbors used to have a dog, a Weihenstephan. He was big. He could bark. His bark was real low and super loud. He would absolutely terrify me. He would kind of like sneak up to the fence and just let it rip, and it was terrifying. It was scary when I wasn't in withdrawal, but when I was in withdrawal, it's just, I used to throw stuff at him and try to hit him with the rake, and maybe if I wouldn't have done that, he wouldn't have barked at me. I don't know. But anyway, okay, I guess I'll let you go now. I'm at 22 minutes. I'm going to be going here in about another hour. Probably be leaving here. Going there. It'll be fun. We're going down with another couple from church. They're nice. They're in the small group that I lead. They're very nice people. They saw me go through withdrawal. They were very patient. I'm not sure if they knew I was going to get through it or not. So that'll be fun. Go down there, sit in on some of these meetings and so forth. Do some singing. They do some singing at this thing, and yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be good. I'll come back probably Tuesday afternoon late, and I don't know that I will be doing this video. Will be tomorrow, which is Monday. So I will maybe tomorrow night I'll do another one for Tuesday when I'm down there, or I could wait till Tuesday when I get home and do one, so that it wouldn't be until later in the day Tuesday. But whatever, something will happen. Maybe maybe I'll learn something at this assembly, and it'll be something good to talk about. That happens a lot. I'm living life, and things happen in my life, and it reminds me of different things I went through. So guess I'll let you go here now. 23 minutes. See, Mr. Rogers, I guess what I could say is it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And you're going to see that it's a beautiful day one of these days. It's going to feel beautiful. You're going to feel beautiful. You're going to feel good. You're going to be on this side. And maybe you'll be as happy as Mr. Rogers. I don't know. Maybe, Mr. Rogers, I think, was pretty happy, Fred Rogers. That's funny because I had never thought of that, Mr. Rogers. But it's funny when I would see way back, like when he was on the air, way back in earlier days when there was no internet, I would see his show like in the TV guide in the newspaper, and I would read it, and it was always like together, the words, and I would always read it as Mr. Rogers, and I thought, what's Mr. Rogers? And then later it was like a little older here. I was like, oh, that's Mr. Rogers. Yeah, I have my moments, I have my moments. Anyway, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. One day you're going to be on this side in this neighborhood. You're kind of like, you're in another neighborhood right now, but you're making your way to this neighborhood, and it's good. So you're going to make it, and life is going to be good again. So I'm going to be heading out here soon. Till next time, as always, I'm right here, and I will be right here. Bye-bye.